I don't even know what I'm going to say. Hell yeah. Keep that energy, baby. All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is our 6th episode, right, guys?
Yes, sir.
The 6th episode of the Locker Rooms and Legends podcast. Technically the 5th, because first one wasn't called Locker Rooms and Legends, but here we are, anyways. You know, really good that now you guys can see us. We're up on YouTube now, in case you guys didn't know. You can watch our beautiful faces, argue with each other. And if you're watching the video, you can see today we're put in... Well, we're split up like we normally are, but today there's a reason for it. There is a reason. Today we're on a sort of team-based argument here. So I'm just going to hand out to Luke. And Luke, what are we arguing about today? See, we're not really arguing. Yeah. I'm just kind of telling you guys, I'm going to destroy you with facts and knowledge. Right?
I just need you to listen, okay? Can you do that for me?
So, Cooper Kupp is 2020...
I just got shit talked by a guy who has his laptop on his lap.
I mean, it is
cool
cool
that you guys aren't watching the video. You guys are just
Matt, what word did you just say? You said laptop, right? Huh? You said laptop, right?
That is fair. my apologies for interrupting. His laptop.
Alright, so Cooper Kupp's 2021 to 2022 season. Go down the history books as probably one of the greatest seasons of all time, but right now we're going to compare him to another great player that Matt Stafford actually played with back in 2012.
Who is that?
His name's Calvin Johnson. You might have heard of him. He might have.
It's okay.
Wait, Calvin Johnson?
Yes, Matt.
That guy played in the NFL too? I thought only his son did, Calvin Johnson Jr.
You got me. You got me, guys.
One for the good guys.
remember, we're both good guys until one of us loses. That's how it works.
Naturally, that's how it is in history books.
So,
ladies and gentlemen.
we are comparing the 2012 season of Calvin Johnson to Cooper Kupp's 2021 to 2022 season. So, just to go over the totals here. Cooper Kupp in the regular...
One question.
Yes.
My apologies. So we're arguing just the season, correct? We're not saying Cooper Kupp's a better receiver than Calvin Johnson.
It's the season.
Just season?
Just season.
Okay, that's just one thing I wanted to clarify.
Because Calvin Johnson is the Hall of Fame. It's going to be a little hard to argue that one. It's going to be a little hard.
Carry on.
But we'll come back to that in a couple of years. Maybe we make a trip out to Canton. Maybe that'd be a pod in Canton. Who knows?
There we are.
No. But, so just go over some stats. Calvin Johnson currently holds the record for most receiving yards in a single season with 1,964. Cooper Kupp.
Not bad.
Cooper Kupp was very close at 1947, but he did have one extra game. And I get what people are saying, well, he had one more game, he didn't break the record, oh my god, he didn't do good. Alright. The guy put up 478 more yards in the postseason, adding on 6 more touchdowns. How much did Calvin Johnson do in the playoffs, guys, over there to my right?
Please.
I believe his team was so god awful that he didn't really get a chance to shine.
Oh, so we're gonna say so you're saying that it was just his team. That's what you're saying?
Well, I feel like if you look at his stats, he did everything humanly possible.
Okay, we'll look into that.
Done.
We will look into that. So just to say,
was he supposed to play defense too?
So Kupp caught 16
goal plays.
Kupp caught 16 touchdowns in the regular season. Guys, do you know how many Calvin Johnson got?
5.
Counting.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. There you go.
Got 5.
I did my research too. I don't have it in front of me.
And
I'm a smart guy.
I get it.
Okay.
I get it. Matt Stafford, that season, the 2012 season with the Lions, Matt Stafford did only throw 20 touchdowns.
So Calvin Johnson did catch a quarter of his touchdowns.
Yes, but Cooper Kupp caught he caught more than a quarter of Matt Stafford's touchdowns this season. Caught 44% of them. Oh, 44%. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
That's all they got, those numbers. Bring it the heart.
So Calvin Johnson, again, only won 4 games. That's it.
Oh, Calvin Johnson only won 4 games. Okay.
I mean,
in
by himself,
I get it. The Lions are ass.
Okay.
Matt Stafford was ass. 20 touchdowns, 17 picks. That's god awful. I get it.
Genius.
I get it. But I'm going to bring up some more stats to help my argument. So Calvin Johnson, in wins, averaged 105 yards and 0 touchdowns. Well, actually, he pretty much averaged 0 touchdowns the whole season, if you want to get technical.
He did average less than a touchdown a game.
Yeah, he averaged .42 in his win or in his losses.
He did
not catch a touchdown. Did not catch a touchdown in a win. He just didn't. I don't know. Maybe he just didn't want to. I guess. I don't know. But he had in wins. He had 9 for 105. That was his average. Or sorry, 5 for 105. 5 for 105. That was his average in wins. In losses, 8 for 129.
So that's a 20-yard difference. He did better in losses. I get they had more losses, but that's not actually how it's supposed to be. If you have a smaller sample size, you're supposed to have bigger numbers.
Don't you think when you're losing, you're going to be throwing the ball?
Oh, he brought up the point, guys. He's killing his own argument.
What do you mean?
He's killing his own argument. Yeah. If you're losing, you're gonna throw the ball more, right?
So sample size, correct? If you have a bigger sample size, you're supposed to do better, correct?
So no. Sample size. Ideally, the stats should come more to the median if you have a larger sample size. Because if you have larger numbers, it should come back to normal.
Oh, okay.
But if
so
you have a smaller sample size,
so like if you had like a whole extra game, that would help, right?
It should help you get your
it'll help the numbers. But let me get back to that. Let me get back to that point of they were losing all the time, so they had to throw more, right? That's normally how football works. So if you're winning, what do? You run the ball, right?
I'd like to point out the Lions were not a running team. Do you know how many rush yards their leading rusher had? 700 yards.
Thank you. You're helping the argument more. Thank you.
Wow.
In what way? He didn't have any help.
The Lions had to throw the ball so much. It helped to
But if you're not
stats.
worried about the run, you can just triple team one receiver.
Okay, but I mean, if you're losing,
Do you know how many receiving yards the second receiver had on the team?
I don't.
500.
Okay.
Wait.
500.
But what I'm saying is, in 12 games,
I guess it really was just Calvin Johnson.
A fourth of Calvin.
I guess it really was just
But
Calvin
in 12
Johnson.
games,
Yeah, it was just Calvin.
in 12 games.
Guys, you heard it here first. A wide receiver is supposed to win games by himself.
Yeah. the whole
Well,
offense,
I mean,
defense,
Cooper
special
Kupp did.
Yeah.
The Super
He
Bowl.
played
Yeah.
defense?
He did.
He played defense?
The whole drive. The whole last drive. Cooper Kupp.
Did
Where's
he
Cooper
not
Kupp?
win Super Bowl MVP though? I mean, that's kind of helping your team win the game, right?
I mean, he got Apple.
Okay, then why not put your best guy on him?
So
Well,
let
why
me get
keep doing
back to
that
this
for?
point. They lost 12 games. Of course, Calvin Johnson's going to get the ball thrown at him, and he's getting the ball thrown at him a lot. He actually had more targets than Cooper Kupp, even though he played one less game. Yes. But Cooper Kupp, of course, caught 145 of those, and Calvin Johnson only caught 122.
He was just always open.
I'm fairly certain he was doubled much more than Cooper Kupp was.
Okay, why was that? Why is that?
Well, we've already touched on it. Number 2 receiver had 500 yards. They couldn't run the ball, so guess what? You don't have to load the box.
Well,
You don't have to guard anybody else. You can triple one guy.
These are
Luke,
good arguments.
who was their number 2? Who was
I don't know.
Odell was Cups.
Oh, you're talking about...
I think it was
No,
Burleson.
I'm
Pretty sure it
saying,
was Burleson.
like,
Burleson.
I'm saying you
It was
have
Burleson.
Odell to worry about. You have.
And,
the
like, there's, like,
Henderson-
So you're saying the Rams had a lot of weapons, right? That's what you're saying?
I mean, I'd be dumb if I said it.
Who did they throw to
Okay.
in that second half besides him?
They did. They did.
Okay.
They
The
did.
box,
I know
box.
where you're going with this. They did.
So if they have so many more weapons, why did he still get so much of the work? Why?
Still got another one guy.
Because of their head coach. Their great head coach.
There we go. I mean, I'm not going to argue that. Let's
Wait. Can anyone name me the Lions head coach?
Do you guys actually have it? Because I don't know who it is.
I know who it was.
But
You
it wasn't-
actually do know.
It wasn't Jim Schwartz.
It was Jim Schwartz.
It was.
Oh, never mind.
But can anyone name their offensive coordinator?
Jim. No, it wasn't Jim Caldwell.
Had to be
I don't know.
Giants guy. Had to be future Giants guy.
No. He was actually.
Do we know? Maybe.
Get on. What's it? I get on his name because it was just look at the offensive coordinator of 2012. But it is a name that I did recognize and I had seen a good amount. So he's actually, but he's not great. He's not the level Sean McVay is.
I mean, that's a good point. That's a good point. But my other thing is, another reason why Calvin Johnson doubled more is because he's an outside receiver, right? Outside receivers, it's easier to double him because you just go corner safety over the top. How do you double a guy that lines up on the outside, the next play's lined up in the slot, then he's at running back, then he motions from running back to receiver? How do you double that?
Debo was pretty hard to double.
I don't know if I've heard this thing.
Okay, don't bring up that
Oh,
running back.
well,
Don't bring up
I
that running back
I don't
who
know if
plays
I've heard that name
receiver.
before.
It's hard to double a running back who gets handoffs. How do you do that? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how you're supposed to do that.
The wide back?
Oh, Debo?
Who was
Debo.
the coach?
The coach was Scott Lane. I don't know who that is. I have no idea who that is.
I've heard the name before, but yeah.
But that was the offensive coordinator.
So you get my argument though that he moved around so much he was more versatile than Calvin Johnson.
Yeah.
You can't double. I mean, what are you gonna do? Double team with a linebacker? He's gonna show a linebacker. And I get it. Your argument's gonna be, oh yeah, we're still gonna be linebacker. Well, why didn't Calvin work in the slot then? Why didn't he go to the slot? Why didn't he move around?
6'5", 2 what?
Like 230 pounds.
237?
I'd look at measurables because I was gonna look at the season, not that. You guys can look it up if you want. That's fine.
He
right?
quite
6'5",
honestly can only run about 3 different routes, to be honest.
So that's what I'm saying. Kupp's running everything. He's running angles from the running back position.
But to only run those routes, be on the
Okay,
outside, be
that's
easier
fair.
to double team, and still put up the amount of stats he did.
So I want to dive a little bit into the percentages of what they got of their quarterback stats. So I'm gonna go with Calvin Johnson first. So Calvin Johnson got 204 targets, which was 28% of the passes Matt Stafford threw. Calvin Johnson had 122 receptions, which was 28% of his completions. He caught 1,964 yards, which was 39.5% of his yards, and 5 touchdowns, which was a quarter of them.
Yeah.
What would you think? I told you one of them. What would you think? How many?
For a 4
Oh, wait,
for a
wait, wait,
4-12 team, I feel like that's pretty good.
How many do you think Cup is better than him in that? Which one? How many?
None of them.
Every single.
Well, if you guessed that Calvin Johnson was ahead of him by none of them, then you'd be right. You'd be right. So Cup caught 233 targets for 33% compared to 28%. He had 178 catches, 32% compared to 28% of Calvin Johnson. He had 2,425 yards. I'm doing whole season, by the way. 2,425 yards, 39.9%. So half a percent better.
So we're so eager to add these playoff stats in, but then discredit the fact that Calvin Johnson had a less game in the regular season. I find that interesting.
Well, here I'm bringing up averages right now. The real thing I want to look at is the percentages. I'm trying to get you to understand the
But don't you
percentage.
think it's easier to complete a pass to your slot receiver than a go ball that's 40 yards downfield?
I mean, that's fair, but he still also had 40% of his quarterback's yards.
That's what.
And you can't throw 1 yard dump offs down the field to score 22 touchdowns, which is 44%. It's almost half of Matt
Yeah, if you're a
Stafford's.
playmaker like that.
Oh, so now he's a playmaker.
Yeah,
Now he's
playmaker.
not just a slot receiver. I like that.
What do you mean?
I like that.
You can be a good playmaker. It's not who's better. We're not arguing who's better. We're actually arguing about your stats.
I'm arguing about
Whether
who had the
he's-
better
he
season.
was better this
Who had the
season.
better
He was
season.
better.
Sometimes I do dislike using people's words against them, but I do want to bring something up.
Bring some up.
That before this deep playoff run of the Rams had, I made a comment. I said, I've heard someone say this blasphemy that they'd still, no matter how good Cooper Kupp was this season, they'd still rather take a guy like Chris Godwin over him. When I told that to Luke, he said, well, I would.
I am arguing about the season. I'm arguing about the season.
And now he's here telling me that this guy's better than Calvin Johnson.
Had a better season than Calvin.
Yeah, season.
So now it's over. Now the season's over. That's it. That's what I'm
I
saying.
mean, talent-wise,
Well,
Chris Godwin.
Well, we're arguing the season.
We're just
Let's
looking
keep,
back at it.
Let's just keep it at the season.
The season. Oh yeah, the season.
That's
The
the
season. The season. Let's keep the argument in this little bubble.
Well, that's what the
Oh,
headline is.
okay, you want to
That's
expand
what-
the argument.
We're
that's what
right.
the
We're
headline
right.
says.
Oh, okay.
I
Well,
can
it's
run
been-
with it.
What else would we talk about? We're just talking about that's the only comparison that there really is.
You want to expand the argument?
I just don't feel like Calvin Johnson's getting enough credit for still beating them in yards with the one less game.
I mean, I already said, I have the stats that they had.
This
in
is
their
an
losses and
absurd
wins.
record that was still not broken with another absurd season that we had with a whole other game.
So, do you know how many yards Cooper Kupp had in wins this season?
I don't.
1,900. 1,900 yards in wins. How many did Calvin Johnson have?
They only won 4 games.
Or
I don't know.
That's what I'm saying.
Very.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
Boy.
saying. He didn't help his team win games.
Okay,
That's
but
what I'm
like,
saying.
I'm
He
not.
did help his team win games.
No, he didn't because he
No,
didn't catch a touchdown.
when they
once.
won, though,
Didn't catch a
which was
touchdown.
like a quarter.
But you don't
of-
think
So
that-
he just wasn't there.
You don't think that being
He just
triple
didn't
team
help?
didn't help at all?
Didn't catch a touchdown. He caught 5 in the season. That's ever through 20. I mean, I don't.
All I'm saying is Cup did more to help his team.
So did Pettigrew win that game then? Those 5 games or those 4 games?
Burleson.
So, but here's the next
His
thing.
name was Joe
Is
Bell.
Cooper-
Bell.
Cooper Kupp caught 21 touchdowns in wins. Do you remember how many touchdowns he had in the season? Yes.
They lost.
So what I'm saying is when he didn't score, their chances of winning were very small.
But their wins are
So
almost
he obviously had an effect on
Well,
these games.
clearly, when Calvin Johnson didn't score, their chances of winning were very
He scored none in wins.
He literally
None.
didn't score in a win.
None.
So
He still lost 12 games.
I know, but what I'm saying
But
is,
how did go on.
what I'm saying is, his impact just didn't seem like it really changed the outcome of the games. It just did. That's what I'm saying.
What do you think would happen if he wasn't there then? You think they win more games if he's not there?
Probably, yeah, that's the argument, right?
Yeah, that's
No,
what I'm saying.
oh,
That's
no,
their
I,
argument.
no, 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 no,
slow
no,
down.
no, no. What I'm saying is, if he wasn't there, 4 wins, 3 wins. What's the difference at that point?
You're saying
What's the
like
point
that-
of the season, Matt? What's the point of the NFL season?
Won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying. That's
So
what
Calvin
you're
Johnson
saying.
didn't win shit. He didn't win shit. So this season, it's remembered because of what he did on the field. It is. But
I think this argument is we're looking at the wrong people here.
what do you mean?
I think we're looking at the guy, the constant in both of these scenarios.
Matthew Stafford.
Matt Stafford. Oh, you want to dive deeper
He
into
is
that?
clearly the reason why they were 4-12. 20 touchdowns and 17 interceptions is not something that's very impressive.
Was he a rookie that year? Was he rookie or second year? Something like that?
So I'll dive deeper into those. But all I'm trying to get at is Calvin Johnson. It just looks like his numbers just didn't really have an effect on if they won or lost. It doesn't really look like there was a difference.
I just don't think that with 4 wins you can really tell whether or not it affected anything.
Okay, but I'm saying Cooper Kupp had 1 touchdown in his 4 losses this season. In 21,
That's
and
the problem.
wins.
He only had 4 losses.
That's what I'm saying. They lost as many times as the
Well,
Lions.
they
won.
had 5 losses. 5 losses. They had 5. Lost 5.
Calvin Johnson got more touchdowns that season than they had wins.
That's actually a great stat.
That's fair. So Cooper Kupp.
That's
So Cooper Kupp. I mean, am I wrong? Am I wrong? I mean, it's the same thing.
You're not wrong. No.
So I'm just saying, it looks like he has such a big effect on when they win. Because when he scores, they were winning. That's what I'm saying. But I'll dive deeper in Matt Stafford. Completely fair. I'll do that. So Matt Stafford, oh my God, had 126 more passing attempts in the season with Calvin Johnson, with 1 less game.
Oh my god.
He only had 30 more completions. That's very bad. It's very bad. He did have more yards, but he did not have as many touchdowns. He only had half.
Well, I would have hoped so. He only threw 20.
But see, just my thing is that your argument about the Lions having no one, then why are the percents not showing that? Why are they not showing that?
I told you it's hard. They're throwing harder balls. They're making harder plays.
No, but it's like the percent. No. I didn't show you just percentage of completions. I gave you percentage of targets. So why does Cooper Kupp have such a bigger percentage? Because they had so many more weapons. That just doesn't add up. So if Cooper Kupp had a bunch more weapons and Matt Stafford had so many more people to throw to and they didn't have to throw the ball as much because they were winning, then why did he still have so much more percent of the target share, of the completions, and the yards than Calvin did? Well, not more yards.
They watch film in the mornings together.
Yeah, I heard about that one. He got him some coffee and next thing you know he's Super MVP. It happens.
Yeah, so that's why he's getting his 10 plus targets a game. That's all it was.
So there was no Sean McVay in Detroit to get Calvin Johnson the ball.
I mean, that's fair.
That's a great.
That's fair. I mean, another thing to note is neither of them actually missed any games this season, which is pretty impressive, especially for Calvin Johnson. That guy missed.
You said none of them missed games?
A lot of games. No, they didn't miss any games.
Oh, nice.
The only thing I'll say when looking at the stats is Calvin Johnson did have more. He was a roller coaster more. He had some games. He had a game with 34 yards, 46, 54. But he also had games with 207,
Okay,
225.
but the difference is who are the DBs he's playing back then?
I actually got the list up for Calvin that year.
We got the list up box.
So Calvin that year played Richard Sherman his second year. So Richard Sherman, okay, he's all right. Tim Jennings, Rogers Cromartie.
Cromartie's good. Don't count Cromartie.
Dominic Rogers-Cromartie?
Yeah, he was good.
Antonio
He was
Cromartie.
good. Dominic Rogers. Jason McCourty. McCourty was pretty good when he was younger. Carlos Rogers, remember that guy? He was pretty good. And then Cortland Finnegan. And then,
Oh my God.
Well, that guy.
and then Tremont Williams. Tremont Williams was pretty good. That was back when the Packers.
What about Reeves Island?
Patrick Peterson, Brett Grimes. Doesn't say. Well, I don't think this was the year. I think because that crazy year with Reeves, I think it was 2013. I think it was the year.
So we're saying Calvin Johnson being more roller coaster, right? We're saying that.
Yes.
What? Who's?
Calvin did play.
That means Calvin Johnson's
I'll
more
give
of
it
a
to him.
game breaker. So to me, what that means is that Calvin Johnson's success is more on him.
What was
his
his
ability to just go win?
What was his most yards in a win? If you can bring that up.
Yeah, that was his most. He had 225.
225. Okay.
But see, Kupp was just so consistent the whole year.
He had a consistent team. With a consistent offense, the consistent
But
quarterback.
that's the thing.
And
Receivers
consistent
aren't
coach.
supposed to be consistent. right? They're not supposed to be consistent. They're supposed to have the games like Calvin Johnson had. They're supposed to have, like they're supposed to get like 100 yards, and like 50. That's what they're supposed to do.
Well, I'm telling you, I think it's because he's playing against tougher DBs. What DBs is Cup going against this year?
Can you help prove that, or are you just gonna say that?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I couldn't even name a DB that Cup played against because they're all dog water.
That's why did I bring that up. I didn't.
Well, that's why I'm bringing it up.
All right,
We're
then,
naming off.
like I said, help me understand why. Don't just say it.
I'm telling you because we just named off the DBs that Calvin played against.
Okay.
We're like, oh shit, those are some good names.
You know, for you, I'll look it up. Let's
And now we're naming. Now we're like, oh wait, who did Cup even play against this year? The Cardinals twice. We played the Seahawks twice.
Well, I think we're looking at the wrong thing here. I think what we should be looking at is episode 1, where we talked about how there are no DBs left. There are no
No,
star
that's what I'm
receivers like
saying.
Calvin Johnson left.
Oh, okay.
It's a different time.
And I already brought my argument. He didn't have to face those guys because he's so versatile, so he moved around.
There were none of them to face.
All right.
The one that I think is the most versatile is on his team. He got lucky.
Yeah.
The guy he gets to practice against every day.
He gets lucky.
Oh, that's
So Cup got lucky.
Well, I mean, if you had to go up against him, it's a big one. Just saying, I don't know how it would have been.
No, I wouldn't say that. I
Just
wouldn't say
saying.
that.
It might be
Literally-
different.
I
His
wouldn't
season-
say. Wait. Are you saying if Cup went against Jalen Ramsey?
That's exactly what I'm telling you. What do you
Do
mean?
you know Jalen Ramsey gave up the most amount of yards he's ever given up in a game in the Super Bowl? He gave over,
I did not actually.
He gave over 150 yards.
I said this to him today.
So
And then he said
yeah,
this to
I
them
don't know
today.
why you brought that up. You said if you
Because
played him in the big game.
75 yards was on a T. Higgins deep bomb, what they said,
Okay.
on a face mask. So take off that 75 yards in the game.
Okay.
So you're saying he wouldn't get open against Jalen? Is that what you're saying?
What I'm telling you is maybe he's not scoring 2 touchdowns like Eli Apple.
I still think he gets the yards.
I
don't
think
know.
He's always going to get his
Eli
yards.
Apple's a pretty great DB. No
Burnt
one
toast.
else?
Burnt toast. Yeah.
I'm saying on
I
that
think all the
final
Saints, all the
throw,
Saints fans really do.
Oh,
Saints
Five's
fans
locking
love
that
it.
down.
Hey, he locked on Julio when he was there. Okay? The Thanksgiving
Oh,
game. That's the only good memory I have of him. Otherwise, he's ass. So.
Thing is, you can't discredit the playoffs because you remember last week. Oh no, so you remember 2 weeks ago. I brought up Larry Fitzgerald. He had 500 receiving yards. Let me see, do I have this open? He still has the most, but Cup actually put up 478, which is now second most receiving yards in a playoff run. And he also has 6 touchdowns, which are both going to be second in single playoff run. So I know you want to say like Calvin Johnson gets the playoffs because his team sucks, but you can't just disregard the fact that Cup just had one of the best postseasons ever for a receiver.
But you still don't even talk about Larry Legends. So, I mean, if he wasn't even better than Larry Legends, why should we talk about
What's
it?
up there?
What was Calvin
What's up
Johnson?
there?
Was any of Calvin Johnson's better than anyone's? Okay. So
So we're not talking about his playoff run, though.
It's
I
one of the
know
greatest of
we
all time.
literally can't talk about Calvin Johnson's playoff run. We literally can't talk about any of his playoff runs.
So well, we're not. We're not here talking about it. We're not
I
here
know.
arguing
That's
about
but I'm bringing up Cups.
it. We're arguing that if Jalen was fucking arguing Cup, locked down.
That's
That's
a
all
very
I'm
big
saying.
if. So if the
Yeah.
Rams
Well, this
just
is a
didn't
this is a
get
different
him.
podcast.
Okay. I don't know about that. That's a stretch for me. It's a stretch. But and he also won Super Bowl MVP, and I don't like bringing up accolades, but he did win Offensive Player of the Year. Can someone look up did Calvin Johnson win Offensive Player of the Year that year?
It was Adrian Peterson.
So
So
this guy say we didn't need that.
he,
I don't want to look it up, but
Adrian Peterson rushed for 2,000 yards.
he did.
so who was that? A 2,000
But Calvin-
receiver and rusher that season?
But Calvin
Jesus
broke the
Christ.
record that year, so I mean, I just feel like that would have, I don't know. Should have meant
Well, 4
something.
and 12 team.
And that was also the 2012 Broncos year, so Peyton Manning went off that year too.
No, I think that might have been the next
That
year.
was next year.
Yeah, Peyton
I,
Manning.
no, I looked at it went AP Manning and then what's it called?
Manning was in
NHL.
2013 when he went off.
Well, it said that was the AP. What's it called?
2,000 yard season.
Yeah, the 2012 season. Offensive players. 1, 2, 3. It was those 3.
Was that?
Okay.
I don't know, but yeah, go on.
I just feel like receivers rarely get to really dictate what happens in games. And that's kind of true for pretty much all of Calvin's career. So I didn't really win anything because position players don't really change the outcome of games too often because it's just so hard. Like that's why I wanted to bring up Larry Fitzgerald 2 weeks ago because it was one of the greatest position player playoff runs we've ever seen. Like we always talk about quarterbacks and the defenses, but never really a running back or a receiver ever do much in the playoffs. So for Cup to have this string of wins and stats to go with it, That's why I think it's just so much better than Calvin Johnson's season.
You know what?
Do we got anything in our corner over here?
My only thing I'm just thinking in my head, I can't stop thinking about is like Cup did score those 2 touchdowns in the Super Bowl, but it just makes me think like if when Odell's healthy, that first drive and Odell just absolutely like just makes the Bengals his kid.
He did catch that first touchdown. I mean, you never know what could happen after that.
So I'm just saying like I feel like
having a good game.
I just feel like with
Looked like
Odell
he was
going
having a
out,
good game.
my thing is I feel like if Odell went out, I just feel like Cooper Kupp shouldn't have even, the game plan would have been on him, but he's still that whole drive caught every pass.
But like we said, okay, the game plan is gonna switch. All right, everyone cover Cooper Kupp.
But yeah,
Who's covering
you
him?
think-
Eli Apple. Like, oh, we're gonna lock him down.
Well, hey, ask the Bengals about that. But my thing is, if they only have Ben, like you're gonna worry about Ben Skowronek, like come on, like, you're not gonna worry about
God,
him.
yeah.
Like, come on.
Actually, the Rams were worried about Ben Skowronek.
Yeah, I think the Rams were more worried about him than
Jesus
anything else.
Christ.
But my thing is that the last drive basically told his whole regular season, his whole season, just how dominant he was. It was just not fair, and they still couldn't stop him even when he was double teamed. So it's like
It's just hard for us to say anything back because Calvin Nelson was not in the playoffs.
because you have to.
I know, but that's you got to find the parts of your argument that work.
Well, clear. I just feel like the big glaring one has just been simply overlooked this entire time is that Calvin Johnson still has more receiving yards.
Well, I'm arguing it, so I'm going to try to I'm going to try to avoid that.
You just still have more receiving yards. It's just
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But I bring up the fact of like, remember when Kevin Durant was with the Warriors and he brought up that argument. He's like, well, if I'm still MVP on the best team in the league, I'm still able to separate myself from the best players in the league on my super team and show that I'm still the best. That's what I'm saying Cooper Kupp did. He had his great team. He had his great team, but he's still able to outshine all of them.
But you didn't get the MVP of the league, you got the MVP of that game.
I know.
Well, you can
I know, but
argue.
I'm
Kevin
so
Durant.
confused where this argument went that Cooper Kupp was a system receiver, system player. You heard this all throughout the regular season and up until week 18, and then you hit playoffs. Now we lose that argument. Where did that go? Where did that go? We still got one of the best coaches. I hate to say it already, but one of the best coaches ever.
See, I'm not supposed to argue. What I'm saying is, I'm not supposed to argue against Kupp. So that's what you guys bring up.
I'm not even talking about you. I'm just saying.
Okay.
In total, everything has shifted. We do have someone who, before the playoffs started, said this argument was useless.
Did I say know they were gonna win? He's win.
Saying Calvin Johnson.
Saying
Calvin Johnson was miles ahead, and there was no point in even arguing this. And now we have this guy's on the other side.
Well, because
So
I
I'm
didn't
just
think
wondering where this shift went from Kupp's a system guy. I'd rather have Chris Godwin to, God damn, this guy is top 5. You know, let's talk about him and Calvin Johnson in the same room.
Okay, let me say this. 'Cause my thing is like, first of all, I feel like you have to put accolades in there because I don't remember the last time a receiver won Offensive Player of the Year. I really don't. And then Super Bowl MVP. It's like, come on. It's like you have to. I didn't think they were going to go on to win the Super Bowl.
Wait, Trev, who was the last receiver to win Super Bowl MVP?
I was saying, it doesn't really matter. Super Bowl MVP is just a bum ass award. Who cares about it?
Well, Offensive Player
Anyone
of the
can
Year.
win it. Anyone can win it.
You missed your chance.
I know. It's Edelman. Not Julian Edelman. That's my point. Is Edelman got it? All right. That's not that big of a
guy
deal.
who's 5'10" can go win it.
Come on.
Like, what the hell?
The guy who didn't even score a touchdown got it.
That's why I don't love accolades, but it's just worth noting.
You have to put the. You have to.
He is the Jewish goat.
You have to bring those up. But yeah, I was on the other side of the argument.
I think
after
this
the season,
shift-
it's hard to argue.
I think this shift really came with just Kupp played so well in crunch time.
Exactly.
When his team needed him, he just came to play. And it's another knock on Calvin where, it's... I
was like, put him in that moment. Put Megatron in the moment.
But I know he didn't get the chances to.
It seems like Kupp was only not in this conversation because of the eye test. And by that I mean people just saw stats. But when you put him in the playoffs where literally everyone's watching, then everybody got to see. Then things started to change.
I mean, it's just...
Because I haven't heard many takes about I'd rather have Chris Godwin over Cooper Kupp.
All throughout the season, it was like nuts. Like, but what about the talent? All the talented guys. Hopkins.
Also, I literally never heard anyone say Cooper Kupp for MVP or Offensive Player of the Year, and then he just won it.
Yeah.
He just kind of won it. It just
because he was literally up for MVP.
Yeah, but literally, I never heard anyone say Cooper Kupp should win MVP, or no one said he should get some votes. I just never heard that.
He was always up there. If you did a top 3, it went Brady Rodgers, then it went him.
Yeah, so you had
Yeah.
to throw him in there, but
Well,
you knew he wasn't going to beat one of the
But I feel like
quarterbacks.
that
I mean, yeah,
adds
you
to
can't
the
be a
case.
quarterback.
Adds to
So
the
now
case.
I'm done arguing because if I'm being honest, I'm a big Cooper Cup supporter. I was never really against him in the first place, but I knew we needed someone to give you guys something.
And same for me.
Just want to make
I
you guys
love-
think out there.
I love Calvin Johnson, and he was one of my favorite players to watch when I was younger. And to argue discredit one of his greatest seasons ever is very sad to say.
Like I said, I'm still not over the fact that he was in a shitty system compared to the Rams. Amazing system for Cup, and he's
But he
against.
still had the guys.
but
He's
another
he's
thing-
against
that.
way
Another
better
thing is,
defenses.
it was 9 years ago. I mean, the NFL was
I
different.
think
You-
the NFL was different in the sense of that they would just line Calvin up and say, "Hey, go win, or you're not getting the ball."
Yeah, I mean, this
50-50
this 4,000 yard season by Matt Stafford, 4,800, I think.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. He wouldn't.
I mean, that or 4,900 yard season back then was like, oh my god, crazy good yards. I mean, like that just wasn't normal for a quarterback. So like, I get.
I think my
Like Brady throwing
biggest,
for 4,000 back then was crazy.
I think my
No, it
biggest
was.
problem with all of this
Mhm.
is that this is the record-breaking season, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
But this definitely is not his best season.
I agree. I actually was looking at
His
those
best
numbers.
season is seasons where he didn't play 6
Yes,
games.
very true. Very
Where he
true.
still
Where
had
he had- where he had-
1,500 yards.
where
The
in
year
end-
before, he had 1,600 yards and 16 touchdowns.
I was gonna say,
He
and he had
missed that many
touchdown.
games. He still had the yards.
Probably not that many,
Jeez.
but I just remember there are seasons where he misses a lot of the season and still puts up crazy numbers. So
But-
it just makes you think: what if that's the only reason why that's his only record-breaking season is because he didn't get hurt?
He actually played the whole season.
But Cup had so
So if you would imagine what he done if he was healthy.
So just what I love to see is, we've seen these clutch catches, like Stephon Diggs against Saints.
I don't want to talk.
We see these clutch catches, and it's like that was a clutch catch.
Tragically, Calvin Johnson has had a clutch catch, but was brutally ripped away from him.
Oh man,
That was
that was regular.
ridiculous.
Oh, that was
That was
regular
ridiculous.
season.
No, should have been him
Think
and
the
Matt
Bears
Stafford's
won?
first ever playoff win.
The Bears won?
Playoff
No, I didn't know that was a playoff
game.
That was a brutal rip.
That's terrible.
Wait, that was the whole
Yeah.
rule. The whole rule change catch. Really?
Nah, that wasn't the rule change, guys.
Oh, that wasn't?
That didn't
Okay.
change any rules. That's just
That's
what
pretty
people brought
brutal.
up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Matt Stafford launches it deep to Calvin Johnson for a potential game-winning touchdown with 2 minutes left in the game. It would have put him up 4, and it was just a 30-40 yard bomb. He caught it over a guy, catches it, falls, and he slams his hand down to celebrate with the ball in it. Comes out of his hand. They ruled it no catch.
Great call.
Just to kind of finish off
Bear
cup,
down, baby.
some cup stats. I just want to dive into
Envy.
not a lot of receivers get the opportunity to just clutch up. That's kind of what I was getting at. The Hail Marys, DeAndre Hopkins catching Hail Mary, Jeff Janis catching Hail Marys versus the Cardinals. Like clutch catches, but they're just kind of like heaves.
Yeah.
All right, but let's just go over some of his playoff stats. So Cup had 5 for 61 against the Cardinals.
Oh, sorry.
And Tyree.
Okay, that was a heave. We were talking about heaves.
Dick.
Tyree was a heave.
It was a great stone in NFL history.
No,
We'll just continue.
Okay.
You know what? I like that. I love that.
So
Actually.
against the Cardinals, most of us watched that game. The Cardinals were beaten out of the gates, like they just were behind the whole time. So 5 for 61. That's all he really had. The Buccaneers game. Me and Matt had the pleasure of being there in person, and when you're watching on the game, you got your screen, and you're like, oh shit, he threw the ball. Where is it gonna go? And you span, and you're like, oh my god, he's wide open. I was at the game. So I'm looking and I'm like, oh my god, Cooper Kupp's open. That's how I felt on the 70-yard touchdown. Then that's how I felt on his corner route that set up the field goal. Then that's how I felt on his last one where he just burnt, who was it?
Winfield.
He just burnt Winfield. I was yelling as I saw the ball thrown. I said, oh my god, he's open. He had 2 clutch catches on that drive. He ended with 183 yards.
But my thing is, Winfield was a Pro Bowler this year.
Do you see the route he ran too?
Winfield's terrible.
He ran.
just right by him.
I thought he ran a crazy route. He literally just runs like a post, doesn't break.
That's like still my point. It's like, dude, that's supposed to be my Pro Bowl safety that we just let run with the Pro Bowl.
Did anyone take Pro Bowl seriously though? It's like
It's
But
not
he's
the point.
talking about the accolade. He's talking about the
My
accolade.
point is like,
Okay.
yeah, still, Winfield is supposed to be a Pro Bowl safety.
oh, okay. So
That's
just in
gonna-
general, you're just saying in general. Okay.
Are you
okay.
a Pro Bowl
okay.
safety and you're just gonna let Cooper Kupp run right by you in the biggest play of the game?
Yeah.
It was the last play of the game. So it's just annoying. It's because it's like Cooper Kupp's gonna go. We're like, all right, guys, we need one stop here, one last stop, and then all of a sudden we're like,
So that's what I'm saying. There's not many times that a receiver can just do that. And then next week, he doesn't do the same thing, but they go down 2 possessions. What do? They go down the field, and Cooper Kupp catches a touchdown. Another clutch drive, another clutch play. And then in the Super Bowl, he does the same thing. They go down, they need their players to make plays. He has a 4th down run. He catches a goal line fade for the
That
touchdown.
4th down run almost killed me.
I know. That was
I really
scary.
thought they were going to get stopped.
A
was
sweep to
scary.
your receiver is, oh man.
Your best
Sean
guy, I
McVay.
guess.
Sean McVay, baby.
Your best
What a
guy.
play call.
He got the game-winning touchdown in the Super Bowl. I mean, he just had so many clutch plays, and not many receivers can say they have hardly any clutch plays in their career.
I mean,
And he just had a
one
postseason.
of them.
Let's say not many.
I do have some closing remarks. I don't know if we're ready to close, so just let me know. when we're
I'm pretty much done. This is the last thing I just kind of want to say is just, like, a lot of guys don't get clutch plays like that in their career. He just had a postseason chock full of them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the thing.
And I think that's really why we're kind of bringing up this argument, why we're bringing up Kupp, is, and I know the stats in the regular season, but the fact of just, like Matt said, he just passed the eye test. Everyone was, how many people watching the Super Bowl? Oh yeah, like 7 million.
Exactly, but when people weren't watching, they just saw stats and said, "I'd rather take."
Oh, no, the viewership was out.
So,
crazy.
so like everyone watched it now. Everyone saw him, and everyone knows that he just had one of the best seasons a receiver could possibly have.
24.
So I want to end it off with something, and I know this is going to sound like we're starting another argument, but I want to save this for another date. But I just want to start by saying that we're all here, especially these 3 are very proud of Cooper Kupp for obvious reasons. I'm sure you can tell why, but.
Well,
Oh
my god! It took me a second. I love that. I love that.
I'm really proud of this season, and I think it's really big for the NFL because up until this point, we haven't really seen stars perform in the biggest moments like this. When you
That
see-
weren't quarterbacks.
When you hear about star receivers, star running backs, they always vanish in the playoffs. They don't have playoff wins. They don't have playoff accolades. They don't have Super Bowl wins or big plays. But this guy did it. So I'm wondering, and like I said, we'll end on this. Let's not start something else. We'll talk about this another date. But I'm wondering if either this will change something and other stars will be able to do this, or Cooper Kupp will fade out and not become a star himself, and we'll just say, wow, that was just an impressive season called by Sean McVay to use a guy like Cooper Kupp the way he did.
He has had impressive seasons in the past, but it was always kind of like an underrated good season.
Yeah.
Would you say like a sneaky good?
I would say, yeah, kind of crafty.
Yeah.
You know,
With Goff, yeah.
I just gotta say, this season he really just played the game the right way.
a real lunch pail kind of guy.
That's what I was gonna say. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us again here in the Locker Rooms and Legend podcast. And this is us signing out from the 35. Good night.